Shocking predictions are coming your way on the Integrity Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, covering local sports in the Southwest Georgia area, creating content that is factual, positive, and informative, promoting efforts by athletes, coaches, sports administrators, and sports personalities. Thanks for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Now here's your host, Tim Estes.
Hello and welcome to another live edition of the Integrity Sports Podcast. We are on site at the Roman Oven Pizzeria. We'd love to have you come by and join us, have some supper, and let's talk a little high school football. We have a great crowd in the restaurant tonight. Looks like Southland Academy must have had something on campus, and a lot of their students are here, a lot of their parents. Why don't you come and join us and be a part of the Integrity Sports Podcast? I'm your host, Tim Estes, proud to be joined again this week by my good friend, Scott Westbrook. Our show's brought to you each week by our friends at Harper's Tree and Stump Removal. If you have any tree trimming, tree removal, or stump removal needs, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal has you covered. Give Keith a call at 229-314-2048 or at 229-938-2412. Harper's Tree and Stump Removal is the proud sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Scott, we are entering week 5 of the high school football season here in Southwest Georgia. And like I did to Logan last week, I've got to brag to you a little bit. I am now 10-1 in our predictions with our local high school teams. And we're going to make 3 more bold predictions tonight. And we're starting to find out a little more about how these teams stack up.
Well, I know. Yeah, you may be doing a little better than me, but I get my meals for free. You have to pay for your meals because a lot of the local teams are giving you the side eye on some of these things.
That's right. There's a lot going on this week. All 3 of our area high school teams are back in action. Of course, Sumter County was open last week, but all 3 back in action this week. We've got a big matchup down in Lee County that we'll talk a little bit about tonight. And we're also, as we end the show tonight, going to give you some updates on the recent Georgia High School Association meetings. Let's get this thing started, and we'll start with Sly County. Scott, Sly County ran into a buzzsaw this past week against what is most likely the best team that they'll play on their regular season schedule. That's Early County, and the Wildcats lost that game 33-6, which dropped their record to 1-3.
Well, we've said it every week. I mean, Sly County, they front load their schedule with some tough teams, and then it usually works out for them by the end of the season. But I missed last week's game in Ellaville. I was with Scott Burgess. We were able to go out to Colorado. I know Burgess had broke down some film with Early County, and he said they're going to be a Final Four team. He didn't know we have ands or buts about it. Knew they were stacked, knew they had a strong running game, and but I mean the game ended as we thought it would.
Yes. Speaking of Colorado, the Colorado Buffaloes, who normally watch us every week from their training room, most of them are on a flight right now, headed out to Houston, Texas.
They've touched down. They've already touched down.
Have they touched down? Okay, so they'll be in Houston, Texas. They play Houston tomorrow night. Friday night, they'll be on ESPN, so make sure and catch that game tomorrow night. But again, we always like to say hello to our friends out in Boulder, Colorado. Scott, Sly County hosts the Chatco Panthers this week. Chatco comes into the contest with a record of 1-2. Their only win on the season was against Jordan High of Columbus, who's currently 0-3, and they've been blown out in all 3 of their games.
Jordan struggles.
Yeah.
They do. They struggle. And with Chatco, you don't know, with being such a school that's influenced strongly by Fort Benning, you don't know from one year to the next what you're going to have. I mean, you may have a 1-9 team one year and a 9-1 team the next, and because so many of their players are made up of military kids, and but it looks like this is going to be another season that Chatco struggles.
When we get to this point of the season, Scott, it's easy for me and you to get on Max Preps and look at stats, find out what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. When you look at Chatco's offense, they're only 2 for 20 passing on the season for 34 yards. So they're definitely not a passing threat at all. So most of the time you look at that, you go, okay, this team's probably halfway successful in the run. Well, they've only rushed for 94 yards in 3 games. So coming in from the outside looking in and on paper, they're not a threat offensively.
This is going to be a tale of two cities for Sly County after facing Early County, one of the best teams in the state, and then going to Chatco. But you still got to play at the level as if you're going to play an Early County game, because I mean they're still high school kids and anything can happen on any Friday night. But definitely Sly is a strong favorite in this game.
For Sly County, it's the flip side of the story. Blake Weldon starting to warm up a little bit. He's thrown for 348 yards so far in their games. The Wildcat rushing attack has 613 yards on the season. To me, this one looks like a lopsided matchup. So, Scott, if I'm not mistaken, and I haven't kept up with this very well, you tell me, but I think this begins region play for Sly County.
I think so. I think you're right.
So region play starts, and Scott, when you look at the teams that have traditionally been strong in this region, you look at the Sly counties, the Macon counties, the Taylor counties, looks like all those teams in the region are down a little bit.
Well, we don't have Manchester in the region anymore, so that they're up there with Bowden now, so they're outside the region. So we aren't this year. It doesn't look like our region is exactly a powerhouse. I think in the playoffs we're going to match up against the teams down there in the Clinch County and the Brooks County and all that kind of stuff. So we better be keeping our powder dry, and 4 of our teams are going to have to go down there and face those guys in South Georgia.
If you look at the Maxwell rating systems, Sly County comes into this game a 27-point favorite, and we'll talk about that as we get near the end of the show. We want to thank you for joining us here at the Integrity Sports Podcast. Again, we're live here at the Roman Oven Pizzeria in the VIP room, right as you come in the front door to the left. Stop in and say hello to us. We'd be glad to have you. Our show is brought to you each week by several sponsors. One of those is Carter's Fried Chicken. They're located at 206 Tripp Street in Americus. Owner Mike Shaddles and his staff have been feeding Southwest Georgia for more than 30 years. They offer daily lunch specials featuring baked or fried chicken and vegetables, and they do it all at an affordable price. Carter's Fried Chicken is a supporter of all of our local area teams and would like to wish everyone the best of luck this Friday night. Thanks again to Carter's Fried Chicken for sponsoring this segment of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Speaking of Mike Shackles, he's on staff for the Southland Academy Raiders. So let's get to them, Scott. Southland Academy picked up their second win of the season last week. They had a 28-25 win over the Gatewood Gators. That takes Southland to 2-2 on the season. And
that's what you for primarily a wing T team. That's a pretty standard victory. Keep it close, wear them down, and win it in the end. And that's exactly what they were able to do in the second half, because I think they started off a little bit slow. And you're going to cover that in just a minute, but they pulled through and wore the team down.
I was going to say, Scott, you want to keep it close, and the guy that I kind of count on during the Southland games, if I'm not able to be there, kept texting me. And at halftime, it was 19-7 Gatewood. And I thought, boy, what's going on? I really thought Southland would compete a lot better than that. And then as the second half wore on, Southland came out a totally different team and was able to pull out the 28-25 win. That's got to be a credit to Chance Jones and his staff making adjustments.
The kid making adjustments and the kids really buying into it. You got to buy into it. You got to sit there and trust the process when it's a wing T team. A lot of times you win those games in the fourth quarter, and that's kind of what happened here.
Yeah, Scott, the opponent this week for Southland Academy is the Brookwood School out of Thomasville. Brookwood comes in with a record of 1-3. Their lone win came last week against Scintilla Charter Academy. They're a fairly new charter school. They serve both Lowndes and Brooks County. They've only had varsity athletics for a couple of years. Brookwood, they have lost to Westfield 44-0. They lost 27-20 to Terrell Academy and 45-14 to McClay out of Florida. It looks to me like Southland should get the nod in this.
I think so. The Southland, like I said, it's like they've got some healthy kids. The kids are buying into it. They're comfortable with the system now. They believe in their coach, and the coach believes in them. And, the Brookwood is, we always talk about these smaller schools. It's very cyclical. It doesn't matter if you're talking to GHSA or GISA. While Brookwood was a powerhouse a couple of years ago, it looks like they're in the cycle now to where maybe they've got a smaller pool of athletes than they've had in the past.
When you look at Maxwell rating system on this game, they've got Southland as a 13-point favorite. Do you feel like that's pretty fair?
I think so, and especially not when you relying solely on the records and looking at the teams that they've played. I think that's going to be a pretty fair assessment, especially if Southland comes out strong and is ahead after the first quarter. That right there will hopefully play into their game plan of continuing to score and eat up clock with wing teeth.
So let me back up just a little bit, Scott. We did not mention Sly County. They have homecoming this week. Sly County's game tomorrow night will be at 7:30. Homecoming festivities will be at halftime. So Wildcat fans, make sure and get there in time to see that. Southland Academy on the road at Brookwood also has a 7:30 kickoff time. Rusty Tundy and Melvin Kinslow will carry that game live on 98.7 WISK. If you cannot make it down to Thomasville, Raider fans, make sure and tune in to Rusty Tundy as the voice of the Raiders. Tonight's show is also brought to you in part by the Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance Agency. They are located at 925 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Americus. Go by and see Marty, Mary Lynn, or any of their fine staff and let them discuss your insurance needs with you. They can even do the famous discount double check to ensure that you are receiving all of the savings that are available to you. You can give them a call at 928-3686 or look them up on Facebook. Thanks again to Marty McDonald State Farm. And remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. That takes us to the Sumter County Panthers. Sumter County was open last week. And Scott, before we get into these kind of things, what do you do in an open week? You're only 3 weeks into the season. You're rolling. You're doing good. And all of a sudden, Coach Will Rogers and his staff have the open.
You let your players rest. You let them heal, especially if you've got some that are a little bit sore and everything. You sometimes, if you got a big opponent, you can plan for it for 2 weeks. Otherwise, sometimes you can implement some things or maybe some plays that you've wanted to try or put some new twist on some plays that you've gotten pretty comfortable with, and your opponents have got plenty of film on you. So you might want to sit there and say, okay, we're going to line up because if we line up like this, they're going to expect this play, but we're going to add a little wrinkle to it.
Yeah.
And so you've got that extra week to do that.
2 weeks ago, the Panthers had a 44-0 blowout win over Pike County. Scott, their opponent this week is Kendrick. Kendrick comes into the game at 2-1, maybe the most wins that a Kendrick team has had in several years. But who were those wins against? You have to look at that.
Yeah.
The Walker School. I know where the Walker School is. I know what the Walker School is. Kendrick was able to beat them 26-8. The Walker School may be able to beat you in tag team checkers. They may be able to beat you in pencil break, but the odds are they're not going to beat you in football.
No, that's not exactly. When you think of football powerhouse in the state of Georgia, Walker School is not one that comes right at the tip of your tongue.
They've also gotten a win over Best Charter Academy, who is also currently 0-4. So two kind of cupcake wins for Kendrick. And, a program like Kendrick that hasn't won very many games in the last few years, maybe that's a good way to creatively skip.
It is, but I hope they don't come in overconfident in their abilities, because if they do, they can seriously get hurt. And they may have been, pushing around the little sisters of the poor the past couple of weeks, but it's going to get real for them tomorrow night.
That's right. Sumter County hasn't been as proficient, Scott, as I think you and I would have expected throwing the football. We know Ishmael Jones, their quarterback, is a returner who had a good junior year. Maybe they'll get better at that as the season goes along, but they've only thrown for 310 yards through the air so far, but they are pounding it on the ground. The Panthers come in with 513 rushing yards in just 3 games.
One of the things you got to think about too, your big stud receiver that we're expecting so much out of at Sumter County is a freshman.
Right.
So, you don't want to sit there and put everything on his shoulders just exactly yet. Kind of ease him into it a little bit, and maybe they'll open up the playbook a little bit tomorrow night and let him get some yards and see what happens.
That'll be fun to watch. Sumter County's strength, though, Scott, no secret. It's their defense. They've got some really big, really strong, and surprisingly agile guys on that defensive front. They've got a lot of depth that they can run in and out every couple of plays, so that plays into it. And then, of course, their linebacking core, one of the best in all of high school football, especially in Class 2A when you're talking about guys like Kendall Thomas and A.J. Kearse, man, just really good. And then their secondary. Their secondary can play coverage, or they can come up and support on the run. I mean, they've just got a solid team.
It's just, you sit there and think about what we were talking about 4 years ago with Sumter County and how things have just turned around and really made the program of what, a lot of the old America's high school fans are starting to remember what they used to see on Friday nights.
That's right. Maxwell rating system, Scott, has Sumter County as a 38-point favorite over Kendrick.
Is that just the first half?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. All right, so that gets us through the breakdown of our 3 teams here in our local area that we cover every week. I want to spend some time now, Scott, talking about some other area games, and there's not anyone bigger in South Georgia this week than Lee County hosting 1-1 Colquitt County.
We've got some unconfirmed rumors we need to address on that game and what's coming up tomorrow night. So, this is an interesting one, especially what we've heard about with a new quarterback, perhaps for Lee County. Maybe the old one may have found a new home in Dawson, but at Terrell Academy. But apparently, a player that has moved in from out of state. Now, this is all I said, unconfirmed rumors. We'll have to see tomorrow night, but we'll be playing for Lee County tomorrow night. So, what a stage and what a team that you have to make your debut against. I mean, that's it. I'm sure he wished he could have debuted against Hapeville Charter as opposed to Colquitt County.
Scott, Lee County comes in as a 6-point favorite. But to me, the Trojans so far this year just have not lived up to the hype so far. Yes, they're undefeated, but, man, they've had some really close games against some teams we felt like they would blow out. So they haven't performed up to what we thought they would. I'm going to go with the upset here. I believe that the Pack is going to come in to Lee County and upset the Trojans tomorrow.
I know this is going to shock you. And shocking, maybe even. Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with Colquitt County too.
Are you?
I am. I just think that, like right now, if Colquitt County pins their ears back, comes after that quarterback, rattles his cage a little bit, they got to stay with him at this point. If they've lost the one who started the last 2 games, and so that'll be interesting to watch and see how it plays out. I'm gonna be kind of watching that game in my rearview mirror.
Taylor County. They're 1-2. They picked up their first win of the season last week against Georgia Military College Prep School. This week, they take on Montgomery County. Montgomery County's 1-2. They'll play this game down in Mount Vernon at Montgomery County High School. Maxwell rating system has Taylor County as a 12-point favorite. I believe that's probably pretty accurate.
It will be, because I think Taylor County had a good game that gets kind of, it was a turning point for them in their season last week against Georgia Military. They struggled a little bit, and then Leland Holder, got comfortable at quarterback spot. He threw some. I saw some videos of some tremendous touchdown passes. Just one that was beautiful. I mean, it looked like it was. I mean, he threw just a beautifully arced pass that went about 30 yards down the field and caught it. And that Chan Lumpkin, who's committed to Tulane, he's just a good-looking, tall athlete. They've got that Lawhorn Chandler, I think his older brother, but who's kind of coming into his own too at the tight end and some other positions on defense. So I think Taylor County, they're the one that's, I picked early in the season to probably win the region, and I haven't seen anything yet to maybe change that.
Taylor County 1-2 taking on Montgomery County 1-2. I think we've mentioned this on here before, but Montgomery County, one of their assistant coaches, Coach Jake Hall from Sly County, Joe and Jessica's son, Jake, who's a fine young man. He'll be coming playing Taylor County, and he's used to playing Taylor County, so I'm sure his expertise in that matter will help. But I believe Taylor County is going to be a little too much. Let's go now to Crisp County. Crisp County, boy, you talk about a front-loaded schedule. Crisp County's had that. They're currently 0-4. They dropped another tough one last week to Peach County. Justin Newman has had just an incredible schedule so far. This week, they begin region play with the Daugherty High Trojans. Daugherty will come in at 1 win and 3 losses. Maxwell has Crisp County as a 5-point favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I got to agree with that. I mean, Crisp County, when you're going and you're going to play Lee County's farm team down in Daugherty County, that's what's going to happen. I believe that Crisp County will pick up their first win.
I think you're right. Daugherty County, who has competed fairly well, but boy, when you've played the caliber of talent that Crisp County has so far, you've got to be battle tested and ready. Macon County, here's one of those Sly County region teams that's usually very, very good, and they're right now 0-4. They travel to, they'll go to Crawford County. Crawford County is 2-1. I think Macon County picks up their first win of the season.
I know this is going to shock you, but I think I've been wondering what's happened to Macon County, and I did just a tad bit of research, and I believe that phenomenal running back that Macon County has had these past few years, I think he's up in Macon, Georgia, not Macon County in Stratford right now. So he's doing remarkably well up there. But I'm actually going to go with Crawford County on this.
Are you really?
Yeah, my buddy Craig Puckett. I know he's doing the best he can with the Crawford County. I mean, he's athletic director. He's not the coach, but he's got his hands in everything. So I feel like Crawford County. I'm gonna shock everybody and go with Crawford County.
I love me some Craig Puckett. He's a great guy, but I'm going to have to go with Macon County in this. And then Marion County, we always try to mention our friends from up in Buena Vista, and they are open this week. But, Scott, boy, they're struggling. They're 0-4.
They've had a tough the open week probably couldn't have come at a better time for them. They've got to, regroup and probably make some adjustments and changes and stuff and shake it up, and see what happens for this week, the next week. I'm sorry.
So that'll take us to prediction time for our 3 local teams, Sly County, Southland Academy, and Sumter County. This, I don't think, will shock the world, but Sly County at home against Chattanooga. What do you think?
I think it's going to be a homecoming game. I think they're going to hopefully have it sealed up by halftime so everybody can see the homecoming queen get announced and enjoy the rest of the game.
Maxwell Ratings has this as a 13-point Sly County favorite. I think that's at halftime. I'm going to go with Sly County by 28.
Look out. Okay.
I think Sly County will win this one and win this one big. Southland Academy on the road down to Thomasville at the Flowers Bakery Stadium down at Brookwood School. Southland Academy is a favorite in this game. Scott, what do you think?
I think probably Southland Academy is loading the bus up right now to make a trip to Thomasville. It's a haul down there, but I believe Southland Academy will end up winning this one too. I think they've bought into the system, and Coach Jones has got it running like he wants it to. He's got a good set of coaches and a good set of kids, and they're all healthy, which is, one of the first seasons he's had a good, healthy set of stallions.
Scott, and if you think about it, in week 1 and week 2, we talked about the front-loaded schedule that Southland had. We also talked about history. Mm-hmm. We saw Chance Jones teams last year struggle up front until they got that wing T offense down pat. This year, they've kind of run through the same thing, but you have Matt McMichael back at quarterback. Mm-hmm. He's now got several games under his belt. He's getting better every week running that offense. I think the 13-point favorite that Maxwell Ratings has it at is probably pretty accurate. I'm going to go with the Raiders as well.
Well, what we said, we mentioned this with Sumter County when they were turning their program around. When you look for a program to be turned around in football, you start, obviously, when things are going bad, you're losing by a lot of points. When things are getting better, you're losing by a few points. And then you start winning some games by a few points, right, which is where Southland, I think, is starting to do. They're starting to win. They've gone over the hill, so to speak, and they're doing that. And then eventually they're going to start winning some games. I think March, and it may start tomorrow night.
I think you're right. And if they can win tomorrow night, that'll put them at 3-2. Mm-hmm. Better than 500 record in the first half of the season. The second half of the season, I don't know that it gets a lot easier, but we do know their final 3 games are against teams that are in their own classification. Scott, if they can go 3-2 in the first half and 3-2 or 4-1 in the second half, well, that's a good season for Chance Jones.
Oh yeah, and there, another thing I think you said it earlier. Southland is winning despite Luke Brooks' impact there.
I did not say that, Coach Brooks. All right, Scott. So both of us have picked all 3 of our local area teams: Sly County, Southland Academy, and Sumter County. The Integrity Sports Podcast believes all 3 of those come away with a win this week. Scott, let's talk a little bit about some Georgia High School Association news. Every 2 years, they go through a reclassification process, and they met this past Wednesday to look at the 2026 through 2028 cycle. The private schools that play in the GHSA, they're going to maintain the 2A through 4A combined playoff classification. So throughout the regular season, they'll play in normal regions with public and private schools. When it comes playoff times, they'll combine all the private schools in class 2A through 4A into one playoff classification. There's no longer going to be a class A Division I and a class A Division II, like Sly County plays in A2 right now. Mm-hmm. But Scott, when I got to looking at this, it's really just a play on words.
Oh, yes, a shell game.
Yeah, Georgia High School is going to have 7 classifications once again. So basically, those that are in Class A Division II would be Class A schools. Mm-hmm. Those that are in Class A Division I would become AA schools. Folks like Sumter County, who's currently a 2A, will most likely be a 3A.
Yeah.
So it's really just a shell game.
A few years ago, they were like, we are going to get down to 6 regions. We're going to get down to 6 classifications. Well, they got down to 6 with two that were really, we were separated, which is so bizarre to me. But, that I'm not going to get on that soapbox right now. I mean, they're, like you said, they're going back to what it was. It's just a shell game. And, hopefully, there won't be a whole lot of controversy, that everything will shake like it's supposed to, and that the teams will be evenly matched. There'll be a lot of parity based on school size. They're, one of these things that, and we've seen some other schools in the state of Georgia take these things with these college and career academies, and somehow or another they get a diploma from that particular high school, but it's not counted in their numbers.
Right.
And it's just it's not right, but hopefully the GHSA, if they really want to do something to address that kind of stuff.
That's right. It's interesting though, Scott, they're not going to divide schools like they have in the past. In the past, Georgia High School has taken basically the enrollment numbers, and let's take Class A Division II that Sly County plays in. They said anybody that's got 550 students between 9th and 12th grade, they're going to be AD2. Mm-hmm. Well, what they're going to do this year, Class A, the smallest classification, would be the bottom 15% of football playing schools. And then you take class 2A through 6A, and they'll be divided equally at 15% ratios. And then class 7A would be the largest 12% based on enrollment. So all non-football playing schools are going to be removed from consideration when they're looking at this new reclassification, and they'll place them where they go after they get all the football playing schools into that package. There will be, here's a big one, Scott. There will be no playoffs based on where you finish in the region. So currently in Georgia High School Association, the top 4 in every region go to the playoffs. Now they're going to use the power ranking system. No longer the top 4 in each region. They'll use what's called the PSR ranking system, and the top 32 schools in the rankings will be those that go to the playoffs.
And I really like that. I mean, I like it because, like take this year, for example. This year, our particular region is off a little bit in football. We're going to be facing a pretty doggone strong region in the first round.
Right.
They're going to bring 4 teams that are battle tested. And our region may be bringing 4 teams where only one of them or 2 of them has a possibility of going. We do these power rankings. It's a lot more, seems to be a lot more fair. And what I like about it too is a lot of times you can't predict after the last whistle is blown in the season who's going to be where. I mean, sometimes you can. Some schools get an advantage because they can say, "Oh, we're going to match up with this one. They've already clinched number 1 in their region, or they've already clinched number 2, or their region's already been decided a week or so before." But with these power rankings, that's not necessarily the case.
Scott, a big weekend again of college football. I know you'll be glued to the TV tomorrow night with the Colorado Buffaloes playing Houston. Of course, you got Auburn University taking on South Alabama, and the University of Georgia and Tennessee. A big one tomorrow.
That is not. I know it. I'm going to go ahead and make sure my stretchy pants are clean so I can we just lounge around on the couch for the next 2 days. College football season, football, all that kind of stuff. That's when I schedule my vasectomy back in the day. I schedule it on a Friday. So some of you men folks out there that may be deciding that this is the perfect time of year to do it, you're going to have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday of just football.
That's right. Hey, we've had a great time here tonight. Got a big crowd. We do want to mention the Southland Academy Lady Raiders softball team. Scott, we were talking about this before we went on the air. Boy, they've had a good season so far. Coach Blaze Hargrove, Coach Sarah Beth Story. We hope they can continue what they've started.
You do not want to face them right now. I don't care what level you are, what size school you are. You do not want to face the Southland softball team right now.
And we want to remind you that we'll be here again next week, next Thursday at 7:15 at the Roman Oven Pizzeria. We're here each Thursday night. Scott and I would love to have you come by and join us for supper. We want to thank again our sponsors, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal, Carter's Fried Chicken, and Marty McDonald's State Farm Insurance. Go out and support your local teams this week. All 3 are in action. We want to be back next Thursday night reporting on 3 wins for them. For my friend, Scott Westbrook, I'm Tim Estes. Thanks for watching. So long, everybody.